You hatch from a large pale egg in a nest built on a cliff ledge somewhere in the Scottish Highlands. The nest is a white platform of sticks and branches that has been added to over multiple seasons and is now over a meter deep. There are two eggs in the nest. You came out first. Your sibling cracks through 3 days later. Your eyes are sealed for the first week. You feel heat from your mother above you and cold when she leaves. You open your mouth when you feel the shadow move and something warm gets pushed in. You swallow it without knowing what it is. Your eyes open on day 8. Everything is gray and close. You can see your sibling next to you, smaller and slower. Your mother's face above you is enormous. The nest edge is 4 body lengths away, and beyond it is open sky and a drop you cannot process yet. You're 2 weeks old, and your sibling is not eating enough. Your mother brings prey, and you push forward first every time. Your sibling gets what's left. It's not aggression exactly, you're just larger and faster to the food. By the end of week 3, your sibling has stopped competing. It moves to the edge of the nest and sits there. One morning, it isn't there anymore. You don't look for it. Skip forward. You're 6 weeks old. Your wing feathers are coming in dark brown and your legs are getting strong. You stand at the edge of the nest and look down. The cliff drops several hundred meters to a valley floor with a river running through it. You flap your wings once, twice, testing the air. Nothing happens yet. You go back to the center of the nest. Your mother brings a mountain hare. She tears strips from it and holds them out for you, and you take them from her beak directly. The hare's back leg is still twitching when she starts feeding you. You've been watching her hunt for weeks from the nest. The long approach, the low glide along the ridge, the final strike. You don't understand what you're watching yet. You just watch. You're 10 weeks old and you fly for the first time. It's not graceful. You push off the nest edge and your wings catch air, but you drop faster than you expected and have to flap hard to level out. You land on a rock 50 meters below the nest and stand there with your wings half open for several minutes. Your mother circles above you twice, then lands near you. You fly back up to the nest the next morning. Your legs are shaking when you land. For the next 8 weeks, you practice. Short flights, longer flights, learning how the wind works against the cliff face, how to use the updrafts coming off the valley floor. You crash twice. Once into a hillside at low speed. You tumble and roll and stand up unhurt. Once into a fence post at higher speed. Your left wing hits the post and you go down hard and sit on the ground for 20 minutes before flying again. Your mother watches both times from a distance. You're 4 months old and your mother has started making you work for food. She brings prey and lands with it nearby, but doesn't feed you directly anymore. You have to come to her and take it. Then she starts landing farther away. Then she stops landing near you at all and just drops prey from altitude and you have to find it on the ground. You understand what's happening without understanding it. You fly to where things fall. Skip forward. You're 6 months old and the territory covers 80 square miles of moorland and mountain. Your parents move through it in patterns you've started to recognize. The eastern ridge in the morning when the updrafts build, the western slope in the afternoon, the valley floor at dusk when the hares come out. You follow these patterns because your parents follow them, and you follow your parents. You're not hunting yet, you're watching. You attempt your first hunt at 7 months, a rabbit at the edge of a heather bank, sitting exposed. You drop from altitude the way you've watched your parents do, coming in fast at a steep angle. You misjudge the distance and your feet go wide and you hit the ground 6 meters past the rabbit. The rabbit disappears into the heather. You stand in the mud looking at where it was. Over the next 8 weeks, you attempt 14 hunts. You make contact on 2 of them. The first, a wounded pigeon that couldn't fly, you catch easily. The second, a young rabbit, you strike but lose your grip and it escapes. The 12 you miss entirely, you miss for different reasons. Too high, too slow, wrong angle, too much wind, your shadow appearing before you. You learn each failure separately. You're 10 months old and your parents have stopped sharing food with you completely. You eat what you catch, or you don't eat. For 3 days in a row, you catch nothing. On the 4th day, you find a dead sheep on the hillside, old, probably died in the night, and you eat from it alone. You don't enjoy the carrion the way you'll eat clean prey, but you eat enough to keep flying. You're 1 year old. Your plumage is mostly dark brown with white patches at the base of your tail and at the wing base. You don't have the golden nape, that will come later. You look like what you are, an immature bird that hasn't finished becoming what it will be. Your territory has started to shrink as your parents push you toward the edges of their range. They're not aggressive about it yet, but when you drift toward the center, they move in your direction and you move away. Skip forward. You're 18 months old and on your own. The home range is gone. You move through marginal territory between established pairs, the ground nobody else wants. Exposed hillsides, forestry plantations at the edge of the moorland, stretches of bog where prey is thin. You're catching enough to survive, mountain hares mostly, an occasional grouse, carrion when you find it, but you're thin. Your flight feathers show stress bars from the weeks you went short on food. You're 2 years old. You've been pushed off 2 different territories by resident pairs in 2 separate incidents. The first time, a male came at you hard over a ridge, and you dropped and veered away before he reached you. The second time, a female intercepted you above her nest site and stooped at you 3 times until you left the area. You understand the system without anyone having explained it. Space belongs to whoever holds it. You spend the next 2 years as a floater, moving through marginal ground, avoiding resident pairs, catching what you can. In the spring, you circle over occupied territories watching resident pairs display. The rolling display, the undulating flight, the slow passes over nest sites. You watch from a distance and don't enter the territory. You don't have a territory. You don't have a mate. You're 4 years old and you've found the section of hillside in the western Cairngorms that no established pair is using. It's marginal ground. One side borders a forestry block that limits hunting. The other side is exposed to the prevailing wind off the Atlantic, and hunting in winter is hard. But it's empty. You start hunting it consistently. You return to the same roost site 4 nights running. Something is beginning. A female appears on the ridge in late autumn. She's older than you by at least a year, judging by her plumage, more advanced coloring, the golden nape beginning to show. She's been a floater too. She circles your territory twice without being chased off and lands on a crag on the eastern edge. You circle her once at a distance. Neither of you leaves. Over the next 3 weeks, you hunt in overlapping areas, never quite together, never quite apart. You're 5 years old now, and the territory is established. You've built up the nest on the crag through 2 seasons, sticks, heather, deer grass. It's not deep yet, but it's fixed. In February, you begin the display flights over the territory, the rolling display, dropping and rising on closed wings, the gold on your neck catching the winter light. She watches from the crag. Then she joins you in the air, and you fly together for the first time, matching altitude, matching turns. The first clutch fails. 2 eggs, both infertile. You incubate them for 45 days and nothing happens. She stays on the nest longer than the viable incubation period, shifting the eggs, waiting. Eventually, she leaves them. The eggs sit in the nest through the spring and into summer. You don't try again that year. The second season, you have 1 chick. It survives to fledging. The third season, 2 eggs again. 1 hatches, 1 doesn't. The chick that hatches is male, large and loud. He takes everything you bring and grows fast. You make 40 to 60 hunting flights a week through the breeding season, covering the territory in patterns that have become automatic. Ridge, slope, valley, ridge. You land less often now. The air is where you live. You're 9 years old. Your plumage is fully adult. Dark brown with the clear golden amber wash across the nape and crown that gives the species its name. Your wingspan is over 2 meters. You've held this territory for 4 years. You know every thermal, every ridgeline, every deer path on the hillside. You know where the hares sit in the early morning and where the grouse flush from and how the wind changes at the gap in the forestry block in the afternoon. A young male has been working the edge of your territory for 3 weeks. You've driven him off twice already. Once with a stoop from altitude that sent him dropping fast toward the tree line. The second time, you stayed with him for 2 kilometers before he crossed out of your range. He came back. They always come back when they have nowhere else to go, because you were that bird once, and you know what it means to have nowhere to go. You're 11 years old. Your mate lost a clutch to a raven pair that raided the nest during a week when you were both hunting far from the nest site simultaneously. You found 2 broken shells and 1 disappeared. You rebuilt the nest edge and started again the following season. You hunt alone on a gray November morning, working a long ridge above the forestry. The wind is strong from the west, and you hold position above the ridge on the updraft, barely moving. Below you, a mountain hare is sitting in the open on a patch of short grass between 2 heather banks. You watch it for 4 minutes. It doesn't move. You fold your wings and drop. At 200 meters per second, you cover the distance in under 2 seconds. The hare sees you at the last moment. It bolts left. But you've anticipated the direction and your feet are already adjusting. Your talons close on its back, and the grip is immediate and complete. You carry it across the ridge and land on a flat rock on the leeward side out of the wind. You eat with the wind at your back and the valley below you, the same valley you've known since you were carried across it on your first uncertain flight. The hare is warm. The rock is cold. The air smells like winter coming in off the Atlantic. And you've been here for 11 years, and you'll be here again tomorrow.